Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm doing a update on the channel right now. It's very early. Just got off work, getting ready to lay down, get a few hours sleep. So, if you guys are wondering about my community posts on the channel um, about the URC podcast, so as of right now, I am stepping down as co-host from the URC podcast. URC is a podcast project that was formed by Tom and his friend Tim, who is part of the show too. They formed it back in 2015. And it has been on and off over the last few years. And Tom and I, we kind of resurrected it about a year ago. And we have been live with it every Friday. There has been days where he was absent, I was absent, but the show went on anyway. Um, but I'm also pretty sure that Tom and Tim and even Dana probably have questions as to why I'm stepping down. So I recently watched the episode of URC from Friday. This was on my way to Gettysburg to meet up with Jeff. And I took notice of the last 20 minutes of the podcast where Tim was talking about how the show has taken a turn from what the original format was years ago. And Tom pretty much agreed with how the show was turning into something that he didn't really want to see it turn into. The show is supposed to be goofy and fun, which is what it's supposed to be. And I've brought some comedic value to it, along with Tom and Tim from time to time. And I always felt like, well, now I feel like I did that, but then it was either I overstepped the boundaries a little bit, it was a little too much or whatever. But, each episode we always try to come up with a topic for the show. And I always picked up topics, news topics, political topics, whatever the case was. And Tom was usually okay with it as long as we had something to talk about. We could research it and talk about it on the show. And there was never an issue. There was never an issue with anything that we spoke of on the show. Tim never mentioned anything, Dana never mentioned anything, and Tom never mentioned anything to me. But apparently, Tom is taking full responsibility for how the show has changed over the course of the last few months, and it shouldn't be that way. It should be how it originally was, and I'm guessing they feel like with me being on board as a co-host and bringing topics in, it was basically turning into like my podcast, Tune In Live, which I'm not trying to turn it into that. It's not my show. I'm a co-host. Yes, I do a lot of talking on the show. I try to keep it. I try to keep the flow going of the show, keep it going as a show, keep the flow going and such. But now that I feel like this whole time, when Tom said that, this is not how the show was originally supposed to be, it's like nobody could come forward to me and say, hey, this is not what the show's about. We need to try to turn the show around and do what we were doing before. It's like nobody can come to me about that. Like, I don't own the show. I'm just a co-host. If there's something wrong with the show, the host or whoever, founded the show should have came to me beforehand and said, look, this is how it's supposed to be. We want to do this if you're cool with it, like, and I've been down with that. But to find out recently that all the shows that we've done, 40 some episodes, I feel like it was all for nothing. I mean, that's my personal opinion. I feel like it's all for nothing. So now I'm stepping down from the URC podcast. Tom and Tim, they're going to plan on revamping it back to its original format, how it was. So if you guys still want to watch the show, feel free to do so. Whether it's uploaded on here Arrow Entertainment or upload it on Tom's channel and such. And the reason why I originally brought Tom on to Arrow Entertainment, it's not a business deal. Nothing's business. We're hobbyists. This is a hobby. It's a channel. And I figure, we were doing podcasts together. We were doing game streams together. I'm like, yeah, let's partner up, because we're doing content, and a lot of content ends up on my channel. So I was like, okay, I'll bring you on, like we're partnering up. That's how I envision that. I don't envision the channel to be like some big business deal where we're making thousands of dollars, making content and shit. It's not considered a job. It's not really work. It's a hobby. That's what I consider it as. But I don't know. Maybe there's a miscommunication down the line with that or whatever. So if you guys see it, Tom, Tim, I'll still watch the show. If you guys want me on as a guest and all, I'm more than welcome to. But right now, as a co-host, I'm stepping down. I'm sorry. It's your all show. And if you guys want to restore it back to how it originally was, that's your all's thing. I have nothing against it. I'm just a little upset that nobody can come to me weeks beforehand and say, well, the topics, are getting too bland, like even Tom said, like, why are we covering topics that, has already been talked about? Like, it's trendy. I figured what would give the show a boost in views is a trendy topic. That's why a lot of those things I would put in the titles and such falls into the algorithm. That's how I was looking at it. If you try to get the show into the algorithm where more people are finding it and they're intrigued with what they're watching, that's a good thing. So I was working on the trend train. But if it's something that is not intriguing right now, then so be it. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys followed up with me on this update. I will have videos edited and posted this week on the channel and also on the Twitch channel as well if you guys want to follow me over there. I'll catch you in the next one.